I can't believe we're going to do a whole podcast about this. Oh, no. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bat Flips and Nerds, the baseball podcast with a British twist. And I am your host, and I am back. It's John McGee. I have left you in the capable hands of my good friends and colleagues this evening for the last few weeks. I'm, of course, not first amongst equals, but this evening it's going to sound like I am. Joining me on whatever the hell is going to come out of my mouth for the next hour and a half, we've got fellow ranter and wizard, evil wizard scarer, Tom Pringle. How are you, mate?
I'd like to explain what the evil wizard bit is, if you don't mind, because people are just going to be so confused.
I think it will set good context for the content that's going to follow.
I'm home alone tonight, apart from the two children. So not technically home alone, but I'm looking after them. And my eldest has had a dream last night that her teacher at nursery turned into an evil wizard and was casting spells on cats, and she didn't like it. So tonight, when I put her to bed, she just started crying like mad and saying, "The evil wizard's coming back to get me. I don't like it." And I was like, "Oh, brilliant. This is great," before we try and talk about possibly the greatest upset that's happening in baseball right now.
Yeah. The evil wizard, for those of you in Orange Persuasion, we're going to call him Joe West for the rest of the next hour. Bringing a semblance of common sense, rational thought, and groundedness to this weird and wonderful world. It's North Wales' answer to, well, pick your baseball analyst. It's him. It's Darius Austin. How are you, Darius?
I'm doing well. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to live up to the billing of bringing a semblance of common sense to this podcast, especially now that we've already started on the evil wizards, but I'll give it a go.
Well, let's see. I'd set the bar pretty high. Let's see where we go from there. I haven't prepared for this because I thought, I think there's going to be plenty to talk about, and it feels like I've been in San Francisco. I sent you guys a picture of me and Willie May saying the two legends, here they are. That seems like about 6 months ago. It was about a week and a half ago. But a lot of water has gone under the bridge since then. And let's start with the water that went under the bridge last night. Where do we want to start? Do we want to start with Craig Counsell's Galaxy Brain, or do we tackle the elephant-sized umpire in the room?
Can you hold the rant that's just building inside you back for long enough, John?
Good question. I really don't know.
Come on, let's do it. Go.
Oh dear. I've calmed down, actually. If it's a good job we weren't recording this at about 9:30 this morning, because I think the absolute fury has kind of boiled for me. I'll tell you what, it's been a funny old day because I have to get up really early for work now. I have to set off super early. I've joined Darius Land. That is getting up super early, and they're very often been baseball on. And so this morning, I switched my phone on. I had a notification on my phone that said it was 8-6 to the Red Sox, and I was like, "Oh, good, they won." And it was only about 10 minutes later when I was halfway through a bowl of cereal that I realized it was still happening. So that was a good start to the day. And I took what turned out to be a good decision to not watch the end of the game, because I would have missed my train to work. Not just because of that, but also because I didn't really want to watch whatever was going on with Craig Kimbrell. And we'll come on to that in a few minutes' time. But it was only when I was firmly ensconced on one of Manchester's fine yellow Metrolink trams that I caught up with what had happened with Joe West and with Jose Altuve and Mookie Betts and various portly men, some of whom's cake shelf may have been sat snugly on a yellow line. So yeah, it was a bit of a funny morning, really, in terms of keeping up with that. So for those of you who've been living under a stone for the last 24 hours, Jose Altuve hit a home run in last night's game, and it was called not a home run by Joe West. Let's just be clear about that in the letter of the law, 601E, which until this morning I did not know anything about, that was a home run. The ball was over the fence and it hit a man on the hand and it bounced back in. That's a home run. Depending on your angle and depending on your view. Joe West made a call that the fan interfered with Mookie Betts. That also is true. He punched his glove shut. He did. He just did. Somebody has been trying to argue in our Twitter feed that he didn't, that the best outfielder in Major League Baseball, like one of the best players in Major League Baseball for the last 25 years, just closed his glove inexplicably, did not catch the ball. Like take your own view, but take your orange tinted spectacles off. So here are some factual things. Jose Altuve, in the letter of the law, hit home run. Mookie Betts had his glove punch shut. Where you fall in the middle is kind of up to you. And it very much seems, from what I've been following today, that it depends on, you know, your credos, your ethos and view of baseball, but also very much it depends on which team you support. So here's my take, which I hope I've been fairly consistent with, which is 1, in the letter and black letter of the law, that's a home run. 2, like, who cares? Because actually, like, who wants to see a game decided by some fat idiots sticking their hand in the way? And why could they not just have kept their hands out of the way? Like, really, honestly, it's not hard. And more's the case, why have the Astros got those seats right on top of the game where it basically asks you to stick your hand in play? Like, look, it's 6 inches either way. And it doesn't matter. It's going to look like a home run / not home run, depending on your personal view, regardless of where you're sat. What the hell are the Astros doing, sitting people right on top of the play? That's another thing that I can't get my head out of. Jeff Sullivan's done a really good article on this afternoon, and Russell Easom, our good friend Russell, has tweeted it out, and we'll share it later on. But he and I are basically in the same place. It's like, yes, the black letter law says this, but surely the intended spirit is that, like, fat idiot in a Reagan hat isn't getting in the way of the best outfielder in baseball. I mean, come on. Look, if I were an Astros fan, I kind of understand their grievance, but, like, really? Is that how you want to win the game? Like, be better. Also, whilst you're at it, stop fucking filming people, you fucking cheating twats. Right, like, let's come on to that in a bit. I mean, like, you won the World Series last year. Just stop the fucking victim act, you. It's just completely unnecessary. Be better. Stop letting Jackie Bradley hit home runs off you. Like, literally a player that only I like in the world, and his mum. Hit some home runs off the worst bullpen in baseball. Joe West. I mean, I thought Joe West, but like it was a marginal call, and it was gonna get upheld unless there was incontrovertible proof, which there would have been if that idiot in the security jacket wasn't in the way. Blame him. Don't blame Joe West. Right. What was the over and under on swears? I think I'm under it, and I wasn't even trying.
I think it was 8.5.
Was anyone logging that? I think it was about 6.
I didn't log it. I wish I had.
Fuck. Overwin.
Well, now we're going to have a controversial situation, because when did the rant truly finish?
Yeah. Now we're going to have to video replay this, aren't we?
Yeah. Ben Carter is in the booth, and he's going to video replay this.
And Ben Carter's got a Reagan hat on, for fuck's sake.
Ben Carter said he thought it was a home run. It wasn't foul interference. I said it was a home run, but I also think the law's bloody stupid, is my point. Which people seem to see me being a Red Sox homer. It would have been a home run if it had been the other way around. Like, I'm supporting you, Astros fans. Not about the filming. Not that. I'm not supporting you about that.
It was the first inning, though, and I think AJ Hinch did say,
exactly.
We didn't do enough in the rest of the game, as you've just said as well. So it's not as if like the Astros are feeling aggrieved by this.
Well, AJ Hinch isn't.
Bregman said something similar as well. You know, I've seen plenty of Astros people say we had opportunities, they made a lot of mistakes and left a lot of guys on base. So yeah, you know, it was a shame, but I think ideally what we wanted to see was just Mookie Betts get an opportunity to make the play. And if he gets that, I think he probably catches it. And if he doesn't catch it, there's no guarantee it's a home run. It may well just go off his glove for a double. So I feel like sort of the starting point being we would have had a home run is not really a fair assessment of the situation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean that's kind of my point. It's like yeah, there's so many unknowns here because of course, yeah, the best outfielder in baseball could have dropped that. Would he have dropped it? No. But so your point is exactly right.
I love it. It's just definite for you. He's not going to drop it.
Well, of course he's not going to drop it.
Also, Mike
never
Trout
drops anything. Mike Trout says hi. I'm talking purely in terms of fielding ability.
Oh, well, in that case, Kevin Kiermaier says hi. I'll give you best outfielder in baseball, though.
Arguably the best outfielder. Yeah, okay, fine. Jackie Bradley says hi.
And yeah, you don't want to win the game by a shonky home run in the first, do you? You want to win by a pass ball, like all the best teams.
He's having a great series. He's batting runs in all over the place. But he's been a bigger contributor than JD Martinez.
It's weird, isn't it? I think you get it with all these series, don't you, in the postseason, where, as Darius said in the last episode, like you always get that one unsung hero that just sprouts up. And as I said to you today, I kind of wish you'd done that preview pod because you definitely would have picked JBJ. And you'd look like such a hero now.
Yeah. Oh man, he's been so good, hasn't he? That's 2 game winning essentially home runs and a game winning double. The great man. Yeah, we haven't even seen him flash the leather yet. Maybe he's gonna get a controversial catch, R.I.P. Tals Hill. If you were there, I'd have fallen up it and broken my ankle. That'd have got us back for yesterday, wouldn't it? Hey, never mind Joe West. We've got a Hill out there, like bloody Jeux Sans Frontières or something.
How mad is it that like Tals Hill was there just 2 seasons ago? Like there was a hill on a major league baseball. How mad is it that
Tals Hill was there? Yeah, exactly. Just
bonkers, isn't it? Like, can you imagine if you're talking about football and you went, "Oh, there's a hill in the corner of Ellen Road." You go, what? Yeah, there's a hill there. When you're taking corners, you're a little bit higher, so you want a corner on the left-hand side.
Well, it's loads, isn't it? Loads, mate. But like they put it there, and that's the other thing about that. It's the other thing that people have written today. Like this stadium is kind of rinky-dink and weird by design. Like the reason that we're having this is because they've designed their stadium to be quote-unquote quirky, which puts the fans right on top of someone trying to jump upwards. It's just anyway. Astros.
To add my balance to the show, I will point out that the Red Sox have the weirdest ballpark feature of any of the 30 teams.
Which bit? The triangle, the low.
I was referring to the giant green
the giant monster.
I thought you were actually talking about that little pipe that JBJ's double rolled along the other day. That was a really nice feature. It was like he was playing Mousetrap. That's been the highlight of the series for me so far. Just where he's rolling. See Marwin Gonzalez like, how do I stop that? Like, when will it drop? And then AJ Hinch came out. I was like, could you just check that was not a ground rule double? No, mate. It's just weird. Fair call.
But Fenway's always been weird. Whereas, like you say, Minute Maid's been built to be weird.
Yeah, quite. Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of beside the point. The point is just that, hey, Joe West made a judgment call, and that's what he's paid for. Sure, by the letter of the law, it was marginally incorrect. By the spirit of the law, it probably wasn't. And can we just sort of bury that debate right there and move on to talking about 2 awesome catches, one of which will be remembered, I hope, and one of which won't. Josh Reddick. I mean, let's not forget that Josh Reddick, amazing catch, robbing what would have been a 2 RBI scoring single, and we wouldn't probably be having this ridiculous conversation. So it's your fault, Josh Reddick. Anyone want to come back on that?
Not being so good.
I thought exactly the same thing watching it back because nobody was talking about Reddick. And I was like, hang on a minute. They were about a couple of inches away from this game being completely over at the top of the ninth. And literally nobody mentioned it in any of the sort of tweets or recaps that I kind of looked over this morning. And then I was like, oh, Josh Reddick just made basically the same catch as Benintendi did to save the game.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, Benintendi's, I'm pleased to see that has been, because, the first few tweets this morning at whatever ridiculous time it was, like 6:20. Well, everyone's going to forget that Benintendi made that catch. Well, so far they haven't. I do feel that if the Red Sox do go on to advance, which they're in a good position to do so, people will remember the Benintendi catch far more than whatever the hell that was. That's just tomorrow's chip paper, I hope. What isn't tomorrow's chip paper is Craig Kimbrell, which is just
wow. This
wow.
is actually what my question is about. So shall I ask you guys my question?
Go.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get live, completely honest reactions. So neither John nor Tom know what I'm about to say. So let's assume that it's Game 7 of the World Series, or if you want the ALCS, if you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself, and the Red Sox are going into the bottom of the ninth or top of the ninth with a 1-run lead. Are you actually able to watch the game if Craig Kimbrell comes up to the mound? Can you do it, or do you just have to walk away and stop watching?
Tom, I'm going to let you go first on that.
I really don't like watching anything on TV that's like surgical or blood or guts or anything like that. I'm the sort of person, and anything where kids are hurt, like what's it called, 24 Hours in A&E, where there's like kids hurt and stuff like that. It just breaks my heart completely. So I have to walk out the room. However, when it comes to Kimbrell pitching, I have to stare at it. I can't look away, and I just have to watch it. Like this morning, I woke up at 5 o'clock and I didn't need to be awake. But again, like John, I looked at my phone and gone, oh, the Red Sox are leading and they're going into the 7th inning. This could be interesting. And as soon as Kimbrell came out, I thought, well, maybe I could get to sleep. And then as soon as I think he walked the first hitter, didn't he? And I was like, I need to stick with this. I have to stick with it. And I should have been going back to sleep. But yeah, I think I'm going to watch it. I've got to, because the lows are incredibly low, but the highs are incredibly high when it's all over.
So yes, you would. That's a long way of saying yes, you would.
So
so I think I answered it. Like I said, I decided to have a shower rather than watch it.
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask the question free. There's no work pressures. You don't have to think about getting to work. Your choice is simply you can stay and watch, or you can walk out of the room and, I don't know, read some Stendhal or something.
Well, look.
Oh no, gone.
Mike's gone again. It does this every. I say it's back now. Yeah. When I was composing my rant, I was nearly talking about legal positivism, which is the doctrine within legal jurisprudence that you can only take what it says in the law, not imply any other context or morals, which is what they should be doing in this situation. So that was my pseudo intellectual part for this. Tom's just looking at me completely dumbfounded.
Why would you make our listeners Google things while they're trying to listen to the show? That's just ridiculous.
It's an educational show, mate. So yeah, there you go, people. HLA Hart, legal positivism. Actually, within Hart's version of positivism, you can potentially
shut up.
Anyway, fine, enough. The point is, that's beside the point for Darius's question. No, I would not watch it. Absolutely, 100% not. I could barely watch Craig Kimbrell last year when it was an automatic save. Literally couldn't, because it's not like Koji.
Oh, I like it how you got onto Koji and straight away your mic broke.
Oh, yeah. With Koji, you
just too much.
You knew it was an automatic win with Koji every single time. Even when he was like at the bottom of his game, you were gonna win. With Kimbrell, because of that first year, I couldn't even forgive him that last year. And this year, I mean, it's just unbelievable. Did you see that quote that he gave? I don't know who had asked him the question. Said, "Oh, what do you think you're missing, Craig? What's missing? What are you missing?" And his response was the plate, which was amazing.
I love it. That was so good. I absolutely love it. The thing is, I'm guessing, because you didn't watch it then, John. So you had David Price essentially warming up from the start of the 8th.
Yeah, I knew what was happening. I just wasn't watching it. Yeah.
Just to make everyone aware, then who's listening, David Price was warming up from the start of the 8th, and everyone was going, "Oh, it'll be this next batter. It'll be this next batter." Oh, okay, Kimbrell's got to the 8th. Well, Price must be coming out for the 9th. Price didn't come out for the 9th. The first guy got onto base. Second guy gets onto base, and Cora went out to go and speak to Kimbrell. And my first thoughts were, surely you aren't bringing out Price now. This is mental. With you're almost committed now. You're just going to go for it and bring out Price, not cold, but you're bringing him straight into the game. He's got to get the final out, and there were 2 outs at this point as well. But he left Kimbrell in, and then as soon as the bases are loaded and Bregman comes up, I thought, and then he got Price to stand up again and start warming up. It's like, really, you're going to bring Price in now at this point where Bregman is walking up to the plate. This is mental. It was it was pretty weird to watch at the time, but I just couldn't look away.
The other thing that I couldn't get my head around when I I looked at the stats and I read the reports was Matt Barnes 1 out, 5 pitches, and he's been like the Red Sox best. I know we've had Matt Barnes a lot, right? But this Matt Barnes seems to be the good Matt Barnes that we had at the sort of the middle portion of this season. 1 out, 5 pitches, and then we've got Kimbrel 6 outs. Oh God, like Big Kenley toiling in Game 7 last year.
Oh, to be fair though, at least Matt Barnes managed to get the out, unlike another pitcher.
Why didn't he leave Matt Barnes in? I don't understand it. Why did Matt Barnes 1 out?
I was making an amazing segue there, and you totally just interrupted me.
Sorry, go on.
I said at least he managed to make the out, unlike another pitcher who only faced 1 batter and then was pulled from the game.
Oh yeah, the travails of Eduardo Rodriguez, I think, are a topic for a whole other day.
Oh, I was talking about Wade Miley, but that's fine.
Rant. Oh, you were talking about Wade Miley, not Eduardo Rodriguez.
I love that you ruined that segue twice, John. That was superb.
I've never achieved a segue on this podcast. I was so happy with that, and you sport it twice.
Oh well, I aim to please. So yeah, it was a wild one, and then the Red Sox, who apparently are like the worst 108 win team ever, are quite good. When are they going to play some real competition? Isn't that what people have been asking all year? They keep winning.
The thing is, like the preview, you gave me a bit of ribbon on Twitter about the fact that I've been quite doom and gloom about it all. And then gave me a bit of ribbon in private as well. But then I said to you, like, do you think the Red Sox stand a chance? You went, I don't think they'll win. And I think that was the general consensus. Like everyone was, I mean, there was obviously a few fanboys who were like, yeah, we've got this, it's nailed. But I think the real sort of, if you're honest with yourself, you go, I don't think they're going to win this series. We didn't really have a plan or a path. And now it's like David Price might take the Red Sox to the World Series, which is crazy.
I really want that to happen.
As well, you sounded like, a proper desperate doom and gloom merchant when you said, I'm hoping for a pass ball basically last week, Tom. But the underlying point, I think, was less depressing, which is that surprising things happen in the playoffs, like Jackie Bradley suddenly deciding to hit out of his mind for a few games. And so I think that's proven to be something that we've forgotten. The Astros are great. I think they probably are a better team than the Red Sox, but over 7 games, that doesn't actually matter very much.
It's wild, isn't it? Like I was sort of making the point there, like the worst 108 8-game winning team ever. But this team is not that team. This team, the best hitter in baseball, arguably, JD Martinez, can only hit singles. One of the best pitchers in baseball can't throw very fast and now has diarrhea. The best closer in baseball, arguably, looks like he's Eric Bristow on Bullseye after 15 pints. It's wild, and they're still winning. It's bizarre.
And arguably, the best right fielder in baseball can't make catches anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, Alex Bregman has been incredible. Fielding everything. He's getting 3 hits a game, but the rest of his team's just vanished. Apart from Verlander, he wasn't even that good, but he was good enough. Weird. Baseball is a weird sport, everyone. That should be the catchphrase of baseball. This is a weird sport.
Don't get into it. It'll break your heart.
Speaking of weird, here's my segue, which I'm not going to let you ruin. Something else weird happened last night, Tom, didn't it?
The Wizard entered my eldest daughter's dreams. What was it?
Did the Wizard look like Jill West, or did it look like Wade Miley?
Is that your segue to Wade Miley?
Was the Wizard milking a cow?
I happened to actually search my name and Wade Miley on Twitter the other day, and oh my God, I've posted that picture quite a few times.
How many?
I think there must have been about 50 counts of it, at least.
50?
Yeah, I think so.
I did think you'd done it a lot, but I would not have guessed 50.
I seem to just throw it in at any occasion. One of my favorite ones is somebody who put post, what was it? One of those ones where it's like reply with your greatest sports photo of all time. And like you've got Muhammad Ali stood over, was it Joe Fraser who's on the canvas? And then you've got, I don't know, let's say Michael Schumacher winning a title, or Bobby Moore scoring for England. And then I posted Wade Miley milking a cow.
I mean, I think it is true. By the way, Craig Kimbrell has been nominated for AL Reliever of the Year alongside Edwin Diaz and Blake Trinan. Talk about a day to put that press release out. He's the best amongst that triumvirate, but nevertheless, wonder if he'll win. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, so Wade Miley. I mean, I think you were quite within your rights to put that picture there for the greatest sports photographer of all time, because I still cannot believe it happened. Like, I can't believe it happened. Like, I can believe.
No, you've gone again. No, you've gone again, Michael. You've gone again.
I've gone again. I'm back, Michael. No, I can't believe the cow happened more than I can't believe what happened last night.
So yeah, should we forget the cow and talk about last night instead?
Yeah, let's.
So Wade Miley was brought into the game, faced the batter, and left after he walked him, which was weird. And there was a lot of concerns about injury, etc., and why has he been pulled? And then it turned out Ken Rosenthal, just dropping a Rosenthal bomb, said that this was the plan all along. They were going to let him face one batter and then leave, which, if you've ever listened to Effectively Wild, which is a very popular baseball podcast, they've spoken about this plan for quite a long time, saying if you put a starter up there, the opposition sets a lineup to try and combat that starting pitcher, and then just pull him after one batter and bring somebody else in straight away who's warmed up. And that's essentially what the Brewers did. It didn't quite get to plan, but it still outfoxed the Dodgers a little bit in one game.
Yeah, I mean, it was our old friend Toby Bellringer, wasn't it? He was the batter who was due to get out as the loogie and failed to do so. So yeah, a bit weird and wonderful. The Brewers, they've kind of created at the worst possible time, haven't they? They've scuffled it. They should have won. They should be through by now. They should have won all 4 games. Like the Dodgers they're just not a very good side. Like the Brewers actually, regardless of their stinky pitching, are actually a better team. They just haven't been able to do the thing 2 games in a row. So that one looks like it's going to. And if, I kind of get it from Council's point of view. You know, Kershaw's just a loss, isn't it? You know, well, he wasn't in the first game, but still, you know, interesting. We're going to talk about something else in that series, though, aren't we?
Not a bad idea to assume that you're going to lose to Kershaw and try something interesting. The thing that interested me was that Bellinger was hitting leadoff, which suggests to me that Dave Roberts might have seen this coming, or someone in the Dodgers front office may have thought that, because Bellinger hasn't been very good against lefties. And so I think the last thing you want to do is put him leadoff against a guy if you think Miley's going to go 5-6 innings. I think they probably wouldn't have done that unless they had a sneaking suspicion that the Brewers might be going to try something here. Then he got walked anyway, so it didn't matter. And Woodruff actually pitched pretty well for most of the game. So I think it kind of worked, but maybe the Dodgers were not quite as blindsided by it as the Brewers would have hoped.
That's interesting. So I didn't actually look at I was so wrapped up in what the hell was going on last night, this morning, sorry, that I missed out. Woodruff's line 5.1. Yeah, he pitched pretty well, only 3 runs. And that's creditable.
They kind of got to them later in the game when it was, he was tiring a bit, and then the bullpen couldn't hold them off. So it wasn't the flaw with Woodruff, really. It was just later on the Dodgers eventually got it together.
And I mean, was it a fairly obvious plan though, in the fact that I know Miley's pitched well, and I've got a huge amount of love for Wade Miley, but it's not like you're trying to rush your ace back. It's not like you're trying to get Chris Sale back in the lineup, is it? Was it that obvious? Because he was pitching on short rest, and he never pitched on short rest, according to tweets that I've seen before the game. So maybe the Dodgers knew, and maybe everyone knew, but we're just keeping it quiet.
I wonder as well what it was like being, because I think Woodruff was up, at the start of the game, obviously, and presumably he would have had to make some preparations before the game. So I don't know whether anything there would have tipped the Dodgers off as well. I mean, the lineup card has to be in before that, I guess. So maybe that didn't make any difference. But I'm guessing, the confusion in the broadcast booth and in the stadium seemed a bit unwarranted, given that it must have seemed pretty clear, pretty funny that there was a reliever up before Miley was even making his first pitch, I think.
Talking of Kershaw briefly and in passing there, another 7+ inning appearance, 1 run in the playoffs. Are people ever going to stop going on about him being bad in the playoffs? Ever? Or because he's not. He's just a baseball pitcher.
I think if he ends up winning the World Series for the Dodgers, then people might shut up. I mean, Madison Bumgarner basically had 2 of the best postseason series ever, and that's kind of it. And people talk about him like he's the best postseason pitcher of all time. So I think these are the kind of things that sway narratives. And, you know, if he pitched a shutout in the World Series, then people would probably change their minds. But everyone's kind of waiting for him to have the next bad postseason start the way the narrative currently is. And if the Dodgers don't win the World Series again, I don't think it's going to change that much.
And that's it. Like, he wasn't even bad in game 1. Like, he was fine. Yeah, Brandon Woodruff hit home run off him, but he wasn't awful. So, again, that was just another thing for people to hang their narrative off. And by the way, Madison Bumgarner is not the greatest starter in postseason history. It's Derek Lowe for the same reason. Do you remember when Derek Lowe was really good for like 4 games? Oh yeah. 2004 World Series. What about you, Tom? Do you think it's time that people shut up about Kershaw?
I think that will they? Like you said, like Darius made mention of the fact that unless he wins a ring, people aren't going to be that interested. Well, I say people. Some people aren't going to be that interested, and you're only going to remember the bad performances. You're not going to remember the good ones. I mean, he had 9 strikeouts last night. That's pretty impressive in the postseason. And as we've seen in recent games, starters aren't really going that long in the postseason. So for him to go 7 innings and get 9 strikeouts, well, it's pretty incredible. Just to give a bit of respite to that bullpen. I don't know. Maybe once David Price wins a game in the postseason, then people will shut up about Kershaw as well.
Still yet to happen. The team has won a game that he started, which is a step in the right direction. Maybe, God, I'd just love it if that happened tomorrow. I really want him to get his first postseason.
Can you imagine if he pitches Verlander? It'll be amazing.
Yeah, it will be. Never mind. Never mind. What am I even talking about? God, I've completely gone off the end here, guys. You thought I was going to see one form of breakdown, and you've got a completely different one. I was going to ask about another person who's playing for the Dodgers in this series, who Christian Yelich is going to add to the swear count. Left reporters with the epithet, "Fuck that motherfucker." And does anyone want to disagree with that take about Manny Machado?
What is going on with him? What was his quote about not hustling? He say, I don't want to be some Johnny Hustle or whatever it was.
Machado.
Yeah, he was on about not hustling for a grounder that went to short, basically. And I think he got did he get overthrown or he bounced? And essentially, he could have been safe, but just porked it because he wasn't hustling.
I'll see if I can find it for you.
But he essentially said, "Oh, I'm not really that type of player. I'm not really a Johnny Hustle type of guy." It's like, really? And then the next game, he goes and boots Aguilar on the calf as he's going into first base. I mean, fair play to Aguilar. I don't really blame him for just standing there for ages, waiting with the ball, just to basically say, "F you, Machado." But yeah, then running past and kicking him in the calf. And then the bench is clear. And it was like, come on, give it a rest. I don't think it warrants that. But once again, Machado being dirty.
It's just so unnecessary. It's just so pathetic, isn't it? It's just so teenage doing that. Why are you doing that? What, like the whole thing with Pedroia and Matt Barnes throwing at him, and he behaved like a complete child about it. And he had wrecked Dustin Pedroia's knee. Like, he is literally the reason that Dustin Pedroia hasn't played baseball this year. And then he played the victim with it. Like, at least he has. I mean, he's going to get drilled next year. You're not going to drill someone in the middle of the NLCS, but you will get drilled by the Brewers next year, and it'll be everybody's fault but his own. I mean, I'm not one for headhunting. We've had this conversation more times than I wish to count. But actually, I'd like to make the exception in relation to him. Like, throw it at his head. He's an absolute prick.
I don't think you meant to say that, John.
Is that what? Throw it at his head. I did.
I think we thought there were going to be legal repercussions from this podcast, but I thought it was going to be because of a different player. I found the quote. He said, "Obviously, I'm not going to change. I'm not the type of player that's going to be Johnny Hustle and run down the line and slide to first base. And whatever can happen. That's just not my personality. That's not my cup of tea. That's not who I am."
Not asking for you to slide to first base, just run to first base, which you didn't do. You jogged. Oh, hold on. Youngest is screaming. I'm gonna have to go. I'll be back
later on,
in a bit.
it sounds like he realizes. He says, it's my fault. It's just my mentality when I'm in the game. I've tried changing it for 8 years and I still can't figure it out. But one of these days I will. So it sounds like he knows that he should be hustling, but when he's playing the game, his brain won't let him or something. I don't know.
Well, that's just ridiculous. I mean, that just makes him unlike every other baseball player in the world ever. I mean, what is he trying to? I can't be Johnny Hustle. I mean, it's not like David Ortiz where his ankles basically don't allow him to run. It's crazy. And how can you be? I'm not Johnny Hustle on the one hand, and then on the other hand, you're deliberately leaving a little sly kick in on Aguilar and. Sliding studs up on Dustin Pedroia. You're either one or you're the other, mate. You can't just change your personality to suit whatever meets the occasion. Did you have any thoughts on it? I mean, he's just a bit of a petty baby, really.
Yeah, I think it seems like I've certainly played sport with guys who just become completely different people when they're on the field. And when they look back afterwards, they're kind of like, what was I doing out there? But it seems like they get in the zone and they just have this mentality about the game. But it's a weird combo of he seems to sort of, get in these incidents that some people might attribute to, oh, he's just playing with passion and, he's really kind of in the zone and he's not thinking about what he's doing. And then also just jogging down the line, he doesn't care. It seems like a very strange combination. And yeah, he doesn't really seem to. His quotes are all over the place here. He said, "I look back at the video and I'm like, whoa, what was I doing?" This is a pretty strange interview.
Yeah, I've not read all of it and I've not seen all of it, but yeah, so he did express a degree of remorse about doing that. Then
this is just about the hustle play specifically, but presumably he's also, if he watches himself with these later incidents, but perhaps he's feeling the same thing because he kind of seems surprised about how he looks on the video doing it, and so I'm guessing that maybe he's not that aware of what he's doing and how it looks to people watching him.
Yeah, perhaps, but he's endangering his fellow player. It's just kind of the one thing that you don't do.
You feel like you would know, yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, anyway, so enough about Manny Machado. Enough about Joe West. Has anything positive happened in baseball this week apart from the re-emergence from his cocoon of Jackie Bradley Jr.? It feels like a pretty downtrodden podcast to be having in the middle of two championship series, which have been pretty compelling. Do you want to try and talk us back from the figurative ledge?
Well, I mean, I think they've been two really good series so far, and it's unfortunate, obviously, that the Red Sox Astros had this controversial play and that Machado has been kind of getting all the headlines for these dirty plays as well. But overall, they've been very competitive series. We haven't really had much in the way of just blowout games or dull contests. And I think we really needed this after the divisional series, which, aside from a couple of games, really were pretty bland. I think it's kind of ignited the playoffs, and we'd like it ideally to be without the kind of controversy that we've seen so far. But I think even if you can kind of take away the home run issue last night, that was just an incredible game that we had, and it's been a really good series so far. So yeah, I think there are lots of reasons to be positive. This has been the kind of playoff baseball that we saw for pretty much the whole postseason last year. And it's nice to see that they seem to be all fairly evenly matched teams, and we've kind of got contests. I think the Braves and the Rockies in particular didn't really look ready to be where they were, and that kind of left us with a bit of a disappointed taste in our mouths, I guess.
Yeah, the Rockies just sort of they deflated, didn't they? Maybe they should have signed some hitters after all.
I'm sure Ben doesn't want to hear us rehash this, but yeah, everybody was saying all season this is pretty historically bad Rockies offense, and there's only so much the pitching could do, and they scored 2 runs in 3 games. You're not going to beat anybody doing that. So yeah, it was disappointing for it to be such a damp squib, but I'm glad that we've had these competitive series, and I think you're always going to get controversial plays in the playoffs that are made more controversial because everybody's watching it. You just get that focus, and I think we would, if this was a regular season, we would not be talking about this even a tenth of the amount that we are now. So it unfortunately gets amplified, but I'm sure there are going to be good games that are just good games that don't have any massively controversial incidents in them.
Yeah, by the way, I was looking at my phone there because something just caught my eye, and it was that Dayton Moore has, I regret to inform you, been at it again, Luke Heimlich. So we'll just let you go away and do your own research on that one. Just goodness me, in the middle of me asking you, has anything positive happened in baseball this week? And I'm there listening to you intently whilst thinking, oh no. Anyway, so yeah, it's been a good couple of series. I think I totally agree with you that it has been completely competitive, and regardless of the faults. In fact, maybe some of the faults of the teams that have been taking part are what have made it so compelling. I think the fact that the Red Sox could just buckle at any moment, the fact that this is a sort of low key, slightly under par Dodgers team, quite aside from the one they had last year, but then they've had really good pitching. The Brewers, like, what are they doing? Like, what is this pitching unit? Like, who even knows? Like, you've only got one Josh Hader, and you can only use him once every other day because he can't pitch on consecutive days. So, yeah, it's been nothing like any playoffs that I can remember. Certainly, the championship series have not really reminded me of anything. Because even when the Indians were having their World Series run with Miller and with what's he called, the closer, Cody Allen. Yeah, it was just one team doing one thing that was different that everyone was talking about. Everyone's ignoring the fact the Cubs are absolutely brilliant. This year, there's something weird and wacky about all the teams. Even the Astros, I think, they've been bullpenning quite strongly. You've got someone like Tony Kemp out there making a massive contribution, which for someone like that tall is really impressive. So yeah, it's been a good couple of series. So what's your as the impartial observer, maybe you're the best place to say how you think these are going to go. So we've got, as it stands, well, you're not impartial because you don't like the Dodgers, but let's just place that to one side. So let's start with the NLDS 3-2. Do you think the Brewers have got it in them to hold back those 2 games at home?
I took the Dodgers at the start, and I think I'm still going to take them. I saw earlier that this is the first time I think the Dodgers have failed to hit a home run in 3 consecutive games now. That only happened twice all year, and the first time was the first series of the season, I think, in San Francisco. So I'm not expecting their bats to stay this quiet over the weekend in Milwaukee. I think that as well as the Brewers starters have done, I think this is a little bit of a step too far for them, and I think the Dodgers lineup is pretty damn good in almost every spot, and they've got the pieces to mix and match and counteract that bullpen as well. So I think I'll still stick with them. I think they've obviously got the starting edge as well, and now just winning 1 out of 2 is the sensible choice. So I'm going to go with Los Angeles, as much as it pains me to say it.
Do you know who's going to get those starts? Is it going to be, I assume it's going to be Buehler and Hyunjin Ryu? If previous,
I think they've announced Ryu for Friday night. I don't think they've said who's going to start Game 7 yet. So it has been Buehler, but I think he's starting to look pretty tired. I think he's 60 plus innings past his workload from last year now, and he's not been quite as good as he was over the second half. So I do wonder whether they would maybe turn in a different direction for that.
And on the other side, you've got Red Sox 3-1 up miraculously, need one more win. Are they going to get it? And if so, where?
I think they'll get it. Obviously, we talked last week about how important Sale is, and it sounds like he's not going to make it back until Game 6 at least, and then we'll see. It's not the best situation, him not being fully healthy, of course, but I think if he's back on the mound, I'd like them to win that game. So I'll say that Houston will make it a little bit nervy by winning tonight, but then Boston will win at home on Saturday and save you from a game 7.
Yeah, well, which our ace would be on the mound for that, Nathan Eovaldi. So, it'd be a banker. That guy's just pitching himself into a 10-figure contract, isn't he? He's been pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's been great to see. I kind of liked what Eovaldi did this season, and he's that kind of player who you're like, oh, he throws 101, and why doesn't he strike anybody out? Never really seemed to make any sense. So he finally seems to be putting it together, and he's still only 28. I feel like he's been around almost as long as I've been watching baseball, but he's not even 30 yet. So hopefully he's got a few good years under his belt, because I really like watching him pitch, and I think there's even more potential in there.
He's one of my sort of favorite types of pitchers, which is like Max Scherzer does this as well, where there doesn't seem to be an awful lot of front arm in it, which I just find absolutely remarkable. Because when I think about pitching, I think as a cricketer, bowling, so much of your leverage is in the front arm, and Eovaldi, it just seems to be like a cursory throwaway trigger movement, and it's all in the talk in his legs. I just think I agree with you. I think he's great to watch. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, Darius, and because I made a comment about this on Twitter the other day, I don't know if it's just because I've been noticing more because of pitching ninja and all that. There does seem to be more of these, like, where the hell have these guys come from relievers this year. I know there was a few of them last year that the sort of like flame out guys, like Ryan Brazier, obviously on the Red Sox. Last year was pitching in the Japanese minor leagues and doing a job as a middle reliever for the Hiroshima Carp in the second half of the season. And Dylan Floro, like, he's 28 years old. Like, yeah, he was good with the Reds at the start of the season, but he was like their 7th guy, and now he's coming in and pitching like lights out innings for the Dodgers in a 13-inning thriller. Is that just that I'm more live to the fact that those people are out there, or is that a genuine phenomenon all of a sudden over maybe the last couple of seasons?
I think it's probably genuine, and the reason I think it's genuine is because relievers just pitched more innings than they ever have before, and the more that teams continue to manage the starters the way they are, pulling them before the second time through the order, or not even having a starter in the Rays case most of the season, that just means more of those innings need to go to relievers. And I think there are more opportunities for the Dylan Floros of the world to pop up out of nowhere. And, you'd be like, oh, this guy's got an amazing slider or something. I think those innings used to go to starters, and now they don't. There's an extra guy in the bullpen who's pitching those innings, or maybe it's 3 extra guys and they're all shuttling back and forth between AAA. But I think, there are more pitchers than that. I think it was 799 pitchers made an appearance in the majors this year. Ben Lindbergh said the other day on Effectively Wild, which is a lot of players. So I think, just by sheer law of numbers, some of those guys are going to be 28-year-olds who you've never heard of before, but actually have one pretty good pitch. And a major league team's thought, he can be our 7th guy in the bullpen. And they've been given a shot that they probably wouldn't have been given before. Yeah,
and then, they become Lou Trevino or Ryan Brazier or Dylan Floro for that matter. So, I guess that's a phenomenon to keep watching out for. Interesting.
I was going to say, I have got something else very good. I think this might be my favorite thing from the playoffs the last few days. I'm going to send you this video now in the old group chat, so you can react to this live in classic podcast material.
Oh, yeah. Am I allowed to click it to open the link? I'm not sure if no, it's gone. You're gonna have to share it again. So that's a great piece of audio there. Right, I'm actually gonna click it this time.
If you haven't seen any of last night.
I have seen this. This is so. For those of you who haven't seen it, oh god, I'm gonna have to click cookies and then I'm gonna have to let it load. Oh god. Here we go. ESPN for the royalty. Thank ESPN. Oh, now it's got an ad roll. Oh, sod off. I don't want 3. See, this is what you do when you try and go multimedia, Darius. You just give me a flipping ad roll there.
I think this has been very entertaining content, personally.
Because we're not going to get to hear that. That was Clayton Kershaw, throwing a curveball to Eric Kratz, which you should go away and look at because it is immensely amusing. I think ESPN say he makes Eric Kratz look silly, but he does look. Eric Kratz looks like he's like one of the Keystone Cops or something out of Morecambe and Wise at their finest.
I think what my favorite thing about this is it's a beautiful 73 mile/hour curveball, and Eric Kratz does look silly, but the thing I like the most is that he realizes he looks silly like halfway through his swing. He just gives up on it. Like he sort of does this sort of kind of imitation swing. Like he just knows that he looks so daft that if he takes a full-on swing, it's going to be even worse. So even he's there, like halfway through this curveball, he's like, "Oh yeah, this guy is much better than me. I'm giving up now."
Yeah. Maybe it was Kershaw using his evil wizard powers. For those of you wondering, we've not had a return from the land of the evil wizard quite yet. We did have a sort of clunk when it looked like we were back for a second there, but our dear friend looks like he's got rather larger priorities than conversing with us two about baseball, which I think is probably a good enough reason, if for no other, to maybe wind this conversation up, Darius. Unless you've got anything else burning to get off your chest, any more gifts of wild things that have happened in these playoffs.
No, I haven't got anything else prepared in the multimedia department. So I think that's probably a good time to end. You're right.
Absolutely. So we'll end as always with parish notices. So if you want to follow our sparkling content, there's been, I hope, some relatively amusing stuff over the course of the playoffs. If you want to get into an argument about legal positivism and legal non-positivism and legal moralism, please feel free. Hit us up. It's at @flips_nerds. Or if you want to do that with me more specifically, come at me with your John Finnis takes. It's at, well, you can find it if you like. And if you want pictures of Wade Miley milking a cow, Tom can be found at Pedroia's Face. There's also some really lovely pictures of him and his daughter, who is causing him such strife this evening, thanks to her friend the Evil Wizard. And Darius, where can people find you, and what is coming down the chute from you in your very big pipeline of inbox hot content?
So you can find me on Twitter at DariusA64. You can obviously find me over at Baseball Prospectus. The fantasy team kind of shifts to helping out with the playoff content over the course of the postseason. So I have been doing game previews. I did the one for Game 4 of the ALCS, and I will be on Game 7 duty if the Red Sox do not actually close this out in the next two games. So that will be going up on Sunday if that Game 7 exists. And then I'm sure there'll be some World Series content coming there as well. And you can also find me over at Banished to the Pen and, of course, batflipsandnerds.com. I did forget to mention last week that I did a prediction review, both of several prediction systems and the predictions we did on the preseason pod, for those of you who remember that. So that was kind of an interesting look back at the teams that everybody missed on and the ones that we actually got a little bit right. There were a few we missed by a lot, but I think we didn't do too badly considering, and we actually beat a couple of projections as well. So that went all right. So yeah, go and check all of those out.
Oh, Tom, you're actually back, because we were just wrapping up, but I've already told people they can find pictures of Wade Miley milking a cow at Pedroia's Face. So have you got anything more beyond that?
Shh, get the fucking noise down. Sleep. Keep the noise down. No, I've got nothing. I'm going to do something about pictures and walks, but that's all I'm going to tell you. And I'll probably release it after the World Series because no one's really interested now.
Okay, well, that literally is going to keep us going through the winter. Can't wait. Next week, we're going to have a special podcast with our good friend and yours, him off Twitter with Tash, Baseball Brit. He's going to talk us through his wild adventure scouting through the American independent baseball leagues, amongst others, for the last 3.5 months. If you've been following us, you've certainly been following him too. So come back next week for something completely different, which is a conversation with Joey Mellows about how he found that and what's to come next, because this man knows no limits, and I understand the next challenge has already been sketched out. So watch this space, and we'll see you again in a few days' time. In the meantime, can we just stop with the bloody arguing? Bye!